Change is in the air with Air Canada. Tonight we're going to enjoy their business class on a mainline 737 MAX for perhaps the last time. We'll explore the airline's plans for these planes and also check out other changes the airline is up to in 2026 while we enjoy a red-eye over to Toronto. Are these plans beneficial to the consumer? Will flying be refined? Come along and let's find out.
Good afternoon and welcome back once again to Vancouver. And hey, would you look at that, it's actually raining for once while I am passing through. This evening we'll be flying with Air Canada on one of their 737 MAX 8 aircraft from Edmonton to Toronto in business class. And I specifically chose this flight because, long story short, what we see tonight is not going to be around much longer. I'm also starting off here in Vancouver because I have a 30-minute connection time in Edmonton. I'm not sort of giddy enough about filming and everything like that. And you know, they also opened up a new Air Canada Cafe here, so maybe we'll start off with that. The flight is set to depart at 12:15 in the morning, so come along as we go from A to B. And let's finish off this very, very long day.
Well, for those counting, this is the third and fourth flight of the day. It's been quite a trip. Starting off in Tokyo, we headed to Seoul, had a good shower there, visited the lounge, and then flew over to Vancouver with T-Way. One more stop to go. Phew. With it being 2026 now, there are some changes with Air Canada, which kind of started last year. Whether with their Aeroplan program, the implementation of the Air Canada Cafe, or the planes you may very well fly on. The check-in experience at least remains the same, and I was surprised how empty it was, considering this is a busy travel time of the year. But perhaps this was because it was later in the evening. One could argue Vancouver's domestic Maple Leaf Lounge is a little bit run down, if not overly crowded, and it appears Air Canada is pushing their cafes and physical renovations to the lounge. The cafe is located further away, between gates 46 and 47, and the outside appearance is clean, fresh, and inviting. The interior design of the cafe is one aspect which separates it from the lounge. It's brighter, with wood finishes, with a darker Air Canada shale grey, and I think they did a great job. When introduced first in Toronto, they advertised the cafe as a way to enjoy a short stop in your trip. Many lounges do not permit their food and drinks to be enjoyed outside the lounge, where the cafe actively promotes the grab-and-go aspect, sans the alcoholic selection. Another difference from the lounge are the food and drinks. The cafe has a variety of hot and cold, sweet and savory, baked and fresh options to choose from, and the items are only found here. I selected a few options and I like them all, but the winner goes to the Korean chicken sandwich. Definitely a solid call. When it comes to the beverages, they have the standard teas, coffees, pop, and water to choose from. There's also a selection of West Coast beers, but if you're looking for anything further, you'd have to visit the lounge. I thought the cafe was done very well and provides a quieter place compared to the lounge, which I admittedly poked my head into to see what was up, but would suggest that they have plates available for those deciding to have a snack inside, since the packaging seems like a bit of a waste. The Air Canada Cafe is currently open in Toronto, Montreal, and Vancouver. With the batteries all charged, the bag full of takeout, it's time to head off to Edmonton. This first flight was on an A320, and I was surprised to see the updated interior. Last time we flew with them, it was some years ago, it had those old blue seats with those small screens that barely kind of worked. In any event, you'll be able to see the difference between this and the next flight. On this 1 hour or so flight, there is a drink and a pick of the snack basket. And I was surprised that was it, since on a shorter Montreal to Toronto flight I did last year, passengers are treated to something a bit more, but it could be the time of day.
Alright, even though the initial flight was delayed, the second flight is delayed as well, and I never really rushed to the gate anyways because my bag is on that plane. It's not going to go any faster than the bag, so you have some time, no rush. And it's only 10 gates away.
And 10 gates away lands us at gate 62. With the lounge already closed for the night, we just had to hang out here. As it turned out, some of our flight attendants on my first flight were also working the red-eye, so they needed time to get their pre-flight work done anyway. Not too long after, boarding began. And as I make my way to the plane, I'll take this moment to welcome new viewers to the channel, and I invite you to subscribe for continued aviation and travel related content, where you can check out ANA's domestic business class product. Wow, a wonderful experience that anyone would enjoy. We'll be seated in 3F for tonight's flight, where a water bottle, pillow, and blanket were placed at the seat. For the flight, we have a seat back with a coat hook off to the side, particularly useful for this time of year, a large adjustable display, and some pockets which contain some reading material. Under that is the footrest, which can be lowered. The MAX aircraft provides a comfortable 38-inch seat pitch in business. Under the armrest by the center console is where you'll find the power and audio ports and more storage. And beside that are the seat controls for the recline and leg rest. The cabin overall I think is well done. I've flown this type of aircraft a few times in the past. The seats are comfortable with a large adjustable headrest, there's plenty of space, and once the seat is reclined with leg and footrest, it's not a bad way to relax on these overnight flights. We ended up pushing back at 1:18 in the morning, and this is one time a delay was a good thing. See, we'll arrive into Toronto an hour later, and sometimes these overnight flights have a rather early arrival time, so a delay makes the arrival at a bit more of a reasonable hour. Now, since it's minus 23 outside, it's time for a little shower. In the meantime, let's check out the scouting report. We're on one of Air Canada's 737 MAX 8 aircraft with 169 seats in a 2-class configuration with 3 lavatories on board. The plane is just about 8 years old, being delivered to the airline in 2018. The airline currently operates 46 MAX 8 aircraft in their mainline fleet in either the 2-class or 1-class configuration from those planes they get from those defunct budget airlines. So why at the start of the video did I say what we see today won't be around much longer? Well, the company is planning to transition MAX aircraft to Air Canada Rouge, so the plane's interior will change to match the Rouge brand, which apparently they're also updating. At the time of editing, there's already one MAX aircraft which has been converted to Rouge, and these aircraft have 177 seats in a 2-class configuration by decreasing the business class by 1 row and adding 2 more to economy. Once we got up and going, it would be a 3-hour 1-minute flight over to Toronto. One difference between the red-eye and daytime flight is that meal is served at the end, but there is a quick drink service for those who are awake, and I'm not the person to pass up on a quick snack. The warm nuts were fantastic, something I don't see too much, and I was pleasantly surprised with the cinnamon churro pretzels. Delicious. To keep myself occupied, there is the internet, which is complimentary to Aeroplan members, and it can be purchased for $8 for non-members, and from there I was able to check out the breakfast menu. Of course, there's also the entertainment system, which I mostly use for the in-flight map. With it being winter now, there's no haze or forest fire smoke. We were treated to clear skies the entire night, and was able to catch some nice nighttime views of the cities below. With the last hour to go, we're just about there, and it's time for an early breakfast. I pre-ordered mine online, were those who follow me on Instagram decided the path of the video. And here it is. I thank you guys for choosing the savory plate, as I had the omelet more times than I can count and I enjoyed the change. This is a cold dish with a couple slices of cold cut turkey, a hard boiled egg, cheddar and Swiss cheese, and some fruit and vegetables. It's a fairly simple dish, light in flavor. I favor the cheese, and I think it's a good option to the omelet for those wanting nothing too heavy and a bit of a lighter taste profile so early in the morning. The meal came with a vanilla yogurt cup, some fresh fruit, always enjoy that, and a bun, and yes, it was warm. Well done. The cabin attendant did an excellent job. Actually, on both flights, it was the same individual, checking on the guest and asking if we needed anything. And a morning coffee was a great way to end this flight. And before we land, a quick look at the front lavatory. It's nothing special. I find the washrooms on the MAX rather narrow, but it was clean, has lots of mirrors, and everything you need. And many hours later, I'm just about home. I think it was about 30 hours. Overall, I enjoyed the business class product on Air Canada's MAX. It's comfortable, spacious, relaxing, and I'm kinda sad to see it go. Air Canada Rouge does not have the best reputation in the Air Canada world, so I was surprised when I found out what these aircraft were destined for. Rouge was initially created as the relaxed vacation arm of the airline, usually to flights down south, and I believe to Europe at one point, and I even think to Osaka, but now they're integrated into the regular network, but there definitely is a difference in the hard product from them and the mainline. I've yet to fly Premium Rouge, so I can't comment on the cabin or experience. I only see it when I pass through the plane. When the new Rouge cabins comes out, we'll have to poke our heads in and see what's up. On the ground, I'm happy with the cafes. They're nicely designed and enjoyable, but would want to see more, such as plates for those choosing to eat inside. I think it's important to keep in mind that things constantly change in the aviation world. Plane interior changes, new cafes or lounges are introduced, routes come and go, and airline point programs are updated. So we don't want to be complacent with the current product, since it very well might change in a few months. The cabin crew on my flight did a great job. They were attentive to the guests, checked up on us, and made sure we were well taken care of. I know there's many critiques about the airline, some justified, but for many individuals, this is their workplace. As I edit this video, we learn about the incident in New York with AC8646, and it's a good time to keep in mind that they have a hard job to do, day in, day out, in good weather, bad weather, in all seasons of the year and all times of the day. Many of us know people who work for the airline, and it's heartbreaking to hear about such incidents. No one should lose their life at work, and I hope the families find comfort and healing over time. This was a one-way itinerary from Vancouver to Toronto, which I purchased with Aeroplan points. And with that, my last flight on an Air Canada mainline MAX plane. Thanks for watching. Let me know your thoughts on Air Canada's new cafes, their plans for the MAX aircraft, and I'll catch you in the next video.